His last melody takes us back 50 years to a park in New York known as Tompkins Square Park. And there, under a tree, a Swami sat down with a group of people and from India, an elderly gentleman who looked learned, a bit like a Buddha, one might say, with the long earlobes, but not so rotund. And he was chanting. He had some small drums and was just playing that drum, but with nice and intricate beats. The park used to be a place where musicians would gather in different corners, and so they all joined in. There was a bass player, like with a big standing bass, acoustic. There were trumpets, there were all kinds of instruments joining, congas. So it became kind of a musical thing where all musicians really took it. And that was the beginning of kirtan in the Western world. 1966 in Tompkins Square Park. Now in New York, there's a sign next to that tree. One finds the park on the Lower East Side, just off First Avenue, 7th Street. There's Tompkins Square Park, and now there's a sign which explains that from here the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra spread all over the world. And it's true. What we're doing today started there. So we're 50 years ago. Of course, you can take it back further to India and to thousands of years and all that. But mantra in the Western world is something that we need to see how it fits. Obviously, the Western world, the modern world, is the world of technology. It is the world that is that some 200 years ago turned away from nature with the Industrial Revolution, and by now it's gone far. By now it's quite subtle. Everything has been modified. Everything has been somehow or other played with. And now with genetic engineering it gets interesting because, like for example, tomatoes, in order to keep the tomatoes from going bad, they add a few scorpion genes. And then they stay longer, a lot longer. Potatoes, you have those small little ones, you have also the big fat ones, you know, those big fat potatoes, big genes. Could have guessed that one. Yeah, think about it. I saw the program myself and go like, how about that? You know, they're messing with my veggies. And they actually be messing with me. You know, there's just a little gene that needs to be adjusted, you know, like get rid of the orange gene. And that will fix the whole thing. Right? Yeah. You know. Oh, gosh. What are we trying to do? So it's nice to something called roots, something called nature, returning to, you know, the part of ourself that we forgot, all these kind of things. Because they say that a human being is somewhere suspended between nature and culture. That's the thing, and these two, they grow into one. Like, you can train a cat to use to get some sort of bathroom habits, or a dog, but usually animals, they just, whenever the urge is there, and wherever, let it go. And human beings, we just get so trained that we don't even think about it, right? We hold it for hours and hours and just think, then you realize, gee, maybe I should go. An example, right, of how it creeps upon us, this external culture that trains us in a particular way, and it becomes a second nature. So many things. So nature and culture are intertwined within us in a way that is hard to separate the two. The mantra takes us back to our roots, to real nature, actually. And especially in this modern world, we're just so, we're so accustomed to all these things, all these artificial things. Imagine there would be no electricity. But just imagine this for a moment, no electricity. And think about the consequences, imagine a whole month, no electricity. Yeah? What would you do? Go to bed at night? Early? Our sleeping pattern might change. It might just change. If there's a whole month, no light, we might just go to bed a bit earlier and start to get up or start to follow the sun, sort of thing. As our ancestors used to do. It's, okay. No more phone, geez, no phone. You'll see when the electricity goes off, some people will get a bike, and you pedal to charge your phone. And you can actually make a system where you can pedal and charge your phone. So all these people pedaling away, to sort of keep the phone going, if there would be no electricity. If there would be no electricity, there would be no fridge. No fridge. No. Can you imagine that there would be no fridge? I like the fridge. Yeah, I like fridges. Come home. What's in the fridge? Right? It's like, have a look in the fridge. No fridge, sorry, fridge is out, heater is out, fire, we can stoke up a fire, but you gotta watch out. That was one of the things when it said there was going to be a fire here, then someone said, I won't mention any names, but someone said maybe just as well that we don't have a fire here, because get the fire brigade out in the street, that could easily happen. It's a low ceiling also for a fire. See, I'm in a good plan. I've stoked many fires in buildings. That's sort of what I do for a living. I sing and I stoke fires. Indoor fires. It's a lot of fun. Old Vedic rituals, chant mantras, and so on. And sometimes you have to keep the windows closed for the neighbors. It gets a bit smoky. But also very auspicious, because, but before I drift off, let me stay on my topic for a moment. So I spoke about the mix of culture and nature, and gave a bit of an example of electricity and how much it's part of our life. So much completely part of our life that it's unthinkable a life without. And then it has changed our whole, our lives. There's no light. I have lived in places where there was no light, and then you live with a candle, and it's like I had even one of those with 5 candles, and then you could actually read a book. Because with one candle read a book is not so easy. And no backlit screens. It's actually back to paper and book. So reading a book and so on, 5 candles, all right. Then I could read for a long time. With one candle, after about 20 minutes, you start to sort of, the letters start to dance in front of your eyes. not enough light. So, now, I stayed in such a place where the electricity was off half the time, where there was no drinking water from the tap, but from the well, where you had to throw a bucket down with a rope and pull it up. Well, that was yoga, you know. That was the exercise. I mean, I didn't do any yoga in those days. Didn't need to, because I was like getting water from the well. That in itself was serious exercise every day. It was. You know, I mean, the amount of water that you actually use, you'd be surprised. You know, okay. You know, the wife would say, "Can you get another bucket?" Into more water. Like this, you know. Life in nature, more simple, obviously more simple. Not so many things on our mind. We've got so many things on our mind. That's the other thing, you know, multitasking. Communicating with all these people. Don't touch your phone while driving. Some people are so good, they can drive and the phone is down there and they're sending text messages and like without seeing even, in the blind. I mean, I'm not one of those. But some of you might be able to do a sneaky text message on the dashboard. Multitasking. Don't they say in mindfulness, just do one thing? Don't they say, just do one thing, limit yourself to one thing? So with this little sketch of a few lines here and there, I have drawn a picture of ourselves caught or suspended between nature and culture. Now, the mantra enters very deep into our being, and there awakens something, awakens a sense of who we are. See, who are we? These interesting questions. Who are we? Well, say one interesting thing is we are never an entity in itself. We're always an entity in relationship with, in relationship with Cronulla. Hey, hey, oh. Sunnies. I'm ready for the beach. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do after this is over. I brought my sunnies. And we're going to go and have a walk along the beach. That sounds good. Yeah, we are in relationship with. Yeah. So when there's the beach, okay, beach clothes, beach tools, you know, bring your flippers, bring your board, whatever comes with being here. Okay, you know, as soon as you say Finland, you know, Finland is supposedly the place where Santa Claus came from. I don't know if you heard that, but it's true that the Laplanders, the original costume is the typical Santa Claus costume. And you kind of want a Santa Claus costume in Finland because it's, most of the year, it's freezing. And serious saunas, and the whole thing. Yeah? So, and we change with the environment. We change with the people we're with. Maybe there's something that is constant, but we change a lot in what we are with. How you dress, it influences you. How you look. As soon as you put his suit, if you're mentally, I'm looking at you now, don't mind, but if I'm mentally dressed up in a suit, you do the same to me, the whole thing changes, It's like, okay, get rid of this, put a tie and a suit, I might sell you harmonium, if I wear a suit, it's a whole different thing, brings out a different person. So like this, who are we? We are always in relationship with something. Halloween is coming up. When I look at all the stuff, kind of like, okay, looks pretty gloomy. We do all these things, and all these things, they change who we are, actually. See, why do we do Halloween? Just to step out of our world. Right? Why do we go to a horror movie? Right? Do you like horror movies? In particular. But we go anyway, right? To some crazy horror movies. Or some people sleep right through it. They would probably. But the point is that, just to step out of the regular dimension. It's so intense it makes you forget everything else. Horrible. Forgot everything for at least a little while. Great. Forgot reality. And went into another dimension. So our existence exists of so many dimensions, and these dimensions are all just, in one sense, virtual realities. You have these, I don't know if you ever experienced that, but you can put on these glasses and then we can create a virtual reality where you look at your feet and you see that you have dinosaur feet. Oh yes, that can be done. You get this glass, look down your own feet, and then you walk to the water to drink, and you see your own reflection as a dinosaur. Oh yeah, you become one. You can do so many things. We can do. We can change identities. On the internet, what's not going on? Right? People taking false identities on the internet. Men become women, women become men, and they act it out, and it's get locked in mentally. It's like becomes an alter ego. Gotta do it again. Obsessive. So who are we? Who are we? We are living actually in our mind. You see. If you say, we are seeing things as they are. Well, we may see things as they are, but everyone sees them differently. And then you find someone who sees it a little bit like you see it, and those are your friends, we agree, it's like this. But there are people who see things completely different. Depends on consciousness. I drove in the Himalayas, about 3.5 kilometers high. I was the driver. So I was sweating, and there was so I'm looking down, 3.5 kilometer drop. You see even some car wrecks lying down there just to encourage the drivers. And sort of staying on the edge. And meanwhile, there's all these enormous snow-capped mountains. So the passengers in the van, they said, wow, what an amazing view. And I go, yeah, what an amazing view. Yeah. It's all relative, it's all consciousness. Yeah. I have one story to illustrate it a little more, how actually what we're seeing is consciousness. And this is a story, a young man in love with this girl. goes to her home. He has flowers. He enters into the street where she lives, and it's called Paradise Lane. Oh yes, he goes in, rings the doorbell, and there's ding dong, there is music playing. And the door opens, and she says, "What are you doing here?" and slams the door in his face. The roses go like. He turns around, and the name of the street has changed to Hell's Gate. There are big dominant pictures like, barking in the street. And he doesn't know how quick to get out of that street. Consciousness is the key to reality. We see our own consciousness. Oh my God, everything goes wrong. Oh my God. Why me? Why always me? It never worked for me. Not really, everybody else is lucky, but me, it always goes wrong. Do you know Murphy's Law? Whatever can go wrong will go wrong. Okay, are you suffering from a negative outlook? Maybe. I met someone who was ultra positive and who liked to walk. He was every day walking and walking. One day it was raining and he's sitting under a roof. I thought today I'll catch him. I said, wow, what a bummer, it's raining. He goes, no, it's good, good for a change. Ultra positive, he couldn't get me, I tried. But no, everything was positive. Always positive, everything so positive. Consciousness is the key. So in this way, although we think we are ourselves, everyone thinks, I'm myself. We are not. Actually, our consciousness is made up of so many things. It says in Vedic literature, in nice Sanskrit, and if I translate it into simple English, then basically it says, the mind goes into the things, and the things go into the mind. So there's lots of things that we carry with us. You can think about it, you have the keys of your car. So there's a bit of a car there. You have a cupboard full of clothes, that's here also. You got a bank account at the back of your mind. There's something right here. Bank account at the front. Whatever it is, all these things, relationships, my mother, my uncle, my auntie, my this, my that, the family is in there. And and a file on each one of them, the sister file, open up memories. Okay, click on that one. I remember. I had all the blocks, and then she had all the blocks. And I wonder how she did it. And it was always like that. Like this. You have the file. Family file, all the memories, everything. All these things determine who we are. These things, family constellations. The thing, you look at people, and you just look at everyone as if they are like a family member, right? Okay, so he's got gray hair, so you put him in the father role, Okay, so then he's your father. Okay, and someone else, you put them in the brother role, sister role, mother role, and you start relating to everyone in the room. And after a while, it really comes out, why are you always doing that? The whole frustration comes out. So, family constellations. So we're doing it even unconsciously with people. in this way, we're so entangled. You know. Now, psychology deals with this stuff. Psychology is into this stuff and is analyzing these things. But mostly what psychology is trying to do, since it is, psychology has long gone commercial. So the purpose of psychology mostly is how to adapt people so that they are socially functional. That's it. You have to be socially functional. In other words, how do we reconform a person? A person has sort of gone a little too far off on a tangent and is a little bit in la la land and know what to do. We bring him back, right? So that again he can work from Monday to Friday if possible, or at least, be sort of functional. But that's not what it's really about. To be functional. It's one thing, it's good. But what we really want is to be happy. And in the true sense, that's what it's about. How can we be happy? That's where it all begins. The Vedic literature says Anandamaya Vyasat. It says every living being is by nature looking for happiness. Whether it's a dolphin. Dolphins obviously have a great time when they're jumping. I've seen here in Cronulla many times dolphins. And they're enjoying, they're having a good time. I've seen guys going for a surf in the morning. They're trying to also have a good time. Not as good as the dolphins, but dolphins do better at the surf actually than the surfers. Surfers have to wait, for hours pedaling there, waiting, finally a wave. And you have to be patient. Anyhow, we're trying to enjoy. That's what we're trying to do, trying to be happy. So, that's our roots. Actually, we are meant to be happy. And that is possible. So we connect with that inner positive energy through the mantra. And all these distractions, we disconnect from them. And in that way, mantras liberate our mind and bring us to the spiritual platform, to our spiritual roots. So with that, we'll do a little more mantra. So in this way, we're chanting mantra. Of course, mantra, yes, one can meditate, but better still, we can enter more when we also chant. It is about the chanting of the mantra. It's about doing it together. It is that creates the focus, and that takes us for a moment into another dimension. This time not the dimension of a horror movie, or this time the dimension of the spiritual platform. And I hope that that dimension was a little bit here today. And then all of you had a taste, and that we will just see how this mantra chanting is something that can offer us that entrance into another dimension. And when we have that entrance into the spiritual dimension, then from there we get our inner strength, there we get our positive energy, and then from there, we can interact in relating to people, places, situations, and everything else. and suddenly we'll be on top of the world. I don't know how you experience it. Like, with me, life is like, sometimes I'm on top of the elephant, and sometimes the elephant is on top of me. And I don't know if you also have that, you know, or I have my days that I'm sort of sliding off the top and sort of half still hanging on the elephant and trying to get back on there. But somehow or other, the mantra always gets me back on the elephant. So that is something you can consider. And so if the mantra becomes part of your regular activity, then don't have to worry about the elephant anymore. That's under control. So that's more or less my presentation today. Don't know if anyone has a comment or a question or something. If you interactively, if you do, otherwise you can call this the end as well, and all the titles start scrolling on the screen. Here's a Sikh from Mauritius, that hot island off the African coast, which rocks. A beautiful island with coral reefs and lovely beaches. Lots of palm trees, lots of good drummers, and a Sikh is one of the best. Really good. Then from the Czech Republic, also known as Bohemia, the land of enjoyment, right? From the city of Prague. See, Mr. Smiles, right? He's here today with us to, he played the cymbals, and he's gone through some serious training on that. And he's like, and a very strict teacher, and whenever he'd make a mistake, they'd zap him with thunderbolts, shooting from the eyes. So he's on the ball, and it's important, when you play those things that the timing is right. Otherwise, it's like, yeah. So it was a pleasure from our side to be here and stoke up a little mantra fire.